All right, can you people play off Mike Zimmer? Seriously? I mean, I know the way things work in NFL and all sports is did you win the game or did you lose the game? And that's a lot all people care about. And all people care about is 4th and 1 last night. Zimmer goes for it and it doesn't work and we lose. And that sucks. Like, it sucks that they lost, not because of that, but um, you know, it's like Captain Hindsight crap, and I hate the whole Captain Hindsight stuff when it comes to people being ripped for things. In this case, Zimmer. Like, okay, knowing now how everything worked out with that game last night, yeah, you kick the field goal now. Like, now that's what you do, is you kick the field goal and you take your chances. You still might lose that way. Very good chance, they might have still given up touchdown and 2, you go to overtime, and then you maybe never even touch the ball. Like, if Seattle gets the ball, they might score right away, and that's it. But, you can't replay history. Like, it's just the way it is. In the moment, you've been running. I mean, fuck, they ran for over 200 yards, I think, last night. Madison had run for over 100, and he had barely played half the game. So, and you would just run that, like, I think that whole drive with the 4th and 1, I think every play was a running play, and they had gained, like 40, 50 yards at that point. Like, they just were kind of ramming it down Seattle's throat, burning the clock, all of it. Yeah, you get to the 4th and 1, you think, and you have evidence in the game, okay, look, we've been running the ball really well, and now we just need to get 1 yard, just 1 yard, and you win. You get that 1 yard. That's the game. They were in a position they could have just kneeled on the ball at that point, and run out the clock, and they win. And everyone's talking about what a great game plan Zimmer had, and how they were resilient and came back after getting 21 put on them in a blink. But that's not how it worked out, because nothing fucking worked out for the Vikings last night ultimately, and really nothing's working out all season. And, that's just how it is. But, I think most coaches, even the biggest Zimmer haters in the world would say are much better coaches than Mike Zimmer, would have gone for that in that situation. They would have. Like, almost every coach is going for that. It's not like Zimmer's singular failure that he goes for a 4th and 1, instead of kicking the field goal there. And I wish people would be honest that they agreed with going for it, because everyone's trashing him for not going for it. You're hypocrites, all of you. Because what do you see every fucking Sunday? Every time there's a 4th down, anywhere in the field, any situation game, everyone's screaming to go for it. It could be 4th and 40 on their own 1, and people are like, why aren't they going for it? Like, it didn't work out. It was the right call. Sometimes you don't like to have to admit it, but sometimes you make the right call and it just doesn't go your way. How often, Vikings Seahawks playoff game, it was the right call to try a field goal there. Let's play for the field goal. It didn't fucking work out. Is that because Zimmer is a terrible coach and a bum and an idiot? No, it just didn't work out. And this didn't work out last night. And look at what needed, even, the final drive. Look at the things that needed to happen in order for Seattle to beat you. They had to convert 2 4th downs. They had to go, what was that, 95 yards or something like that. Like, it's just the way it is. Like, it sucks that happened. I wish it hadn't happened. I mean, even if they stopped him on the 4th and goal, would people still be ripping Zimmer for going for it himself? Like, I don't know, but they probably would, because honestly, Zimmer has completely lost this fan base as far as I'm concerned. I mean, I don't think that's fair, but it's the way it is. I mean, it just sucks that the revisionist history and the Captain Hindsight crap and just like, it was the right call. Sorry, you can bitch about it all you want, and people are going to bitch about it for till the end of time probably, but it was the right call. It didn't work out. It was the right call though. Given everything that had happened in that game to that point. And I guarantee there's going to come a time, again this season, maybe even soon, maybe even next week, who knows, where there's going to be like a 4th and short somewhere in some situation in the game. And these same fucking people who are ripping Zimmer for going for this now are going to rip Zimmer if he punts. Like, you're just fucking hypocrites, and I'm sick of it. Like, it didn't work out. Okay. It doesn't mean Zimmer is a bad coach because he made the decision to go for a 4th and 1 to win a game immediately right there on that play. Like, he's not a bad coach because of that. Sometimes, the best coaches in the history of the NFL sometimes make calls that make sense and are the right call and just don't go their way. It's just the way it is. I mean, but people act like Mike Zimmer is some sort of, fraud coach because he made this call and it didn't work out and they lose. Like, okay, they lost. You got beat by one of the best players in the NFL. I mean, and no, Mike Zimmer is not getting fired. I'm seeing all that. Like, oh, if they lose, what if they lose to Atlanta? And I've even seen like respectable people, like on the media or on Twitter, people who I used to think were intelligent, or at least reasonably intelligent, saying that Zimmer should have been fired last night. Should have been fired before they even got on the plane ride to come back. People are madmen. You're or women, could be women. Sometimes you can't tell the gender of someone on the internet, but it's like, you're not gonna. Why would you fire him? What is the? I know it's just trendy and well, fire Zimmer. It's like a joke. It's like a running joke, but you're not gonna fire Mike Zimmer after that. Why would you fire Mike Zimmer after that? You went in with a patchwork defense and a crappy offensive line, and to one of the, even without the home crowd, still one of the toughest places to play against one of the best teams, one of the best quarterbacks. You almost won. Like, that's not. It sucks that they lost, but it's not something like, it's not some fucking shameful defeat. I mean, it's not. It's not. You don't have, all this evidence of like the team quitting on Zimmer or something. Like, they played fucking hard as hell last night. Like, you don't fire a good coach after a game like that. Like, if they had gone and gotten steamrolled 50-0 or something, then you could make the argument, oh, that this team doesn't like Zimmer. They're not playing for him. They're playing fucking hard for Zimmer. They might be playing as hard for Zimmer right now as they have ever played for the guy in his entire time here. We're just so fucking shorthanded. I mean, like, maybe I'm just a fucking crazy person, but I hate that they lost, and I hate that the way that they lost, and it almost like it wipes away all the good they did. But you had a chance to win that game in that environment against that quarterback, as shorthanded as they are, and it's like, it's not shameful to me. Like, it's like Zimmer had a great game plan. Yeah, Wilson beat it a couple times, including at the end, and that sucks. I mean, but I mean that was not like I'm I'm completely baffled as to how people can look at that game last night as a coaching failure on the part of Mike Zimmer. Because like his game plan was good. His game plan was good even after the 21-point burst that, two of them were on like really short fields, and even the third one was kind of short field. But like he gave up one touchdown drive, one sustained touchdown drive. The last one is horrible timing. We know it. But like even after the 21 points, they stopped him short of even getting a field goal try, and then they got the interception by Wilson. Like they found the formula to at least contain Russell Wilson, and that's about the best you can do against a guy like Wilson or Mahomes or Rodgers is contain them. And Zimmer did it. I mean, like his game, this was I mean I wouldn't say probably this was his best game plan since the Saints playoff game, and like the defense has improved. Like they're getting 50 dropped on him last night if this was week 1. They've improved. Like he didn't get the off season, the preseason that he needed. Like he did need it, and so, but we're seeing the improvement, and maybe this is the best they can be. Maybe they won't improve any beyond this, but I kind of want to see how this goes for the season, because if their defensive rankings and everything are not going to be real high, but and this is like almost like the year of no defense, but like Zimmer is doing a good job. I know it sucks it's not being reflected in the win-loss column, and it may not be reflected in the win-loss column. But I guarantee, I have no hesitation saying right now that Zimmer is doing one of his better coaching jobs. And it may not be, I don't know what 1-4 is going to turn into. I don't know if it's going to go to 3-13 or 8-8, but I've said it many times. You can't underestimate the amount of personnel losses that this defense had from last year, from what they had going out there in the playoffs last year to what they've had this year. Like, who could survive that? And you can say, well, they're not surviving it because they're 1-4. Well, they survived it well enough to have a chance to beat Russell Wilson in his home stadium. And like, it sucks that it didn't work out, but I can't tolerate these fucking people. And like I said, Zimmer's lost his fan base. It's clear to me. Like the Fire Zimmer crowd seems to outnumber the Keep Zimmer crowd at this point. And I don't know how Zimmer can really win back these people. Maybe he can't. I mean, win a Super Bowl, but that's not going to happen this year. It's like, but and these fucking people want to fire everybody every year. I just stop. Please stop. You're not gonna fire Mike Zimmer, even if they lose to Atlanta somehow. And they could. Like they could lose to Atlanta. They could lose to anybody on the schedule. It's just that kind of year. But the odds that Zimmer would even be fired like in the middle of the season, you're not gonna do that to this guy. You're just not. You can say everyone who brings up the fact that he got the contract extension, and people are like, well, you can still fire someone after a contract extension because that happened to Brad Childress. Okay, well, Brad Childress got fired because he released Randy Moss without telling the owners. I don't think Zimmer's going to go out and release Kirk Cousins or something without telling Ziggy. And for the record, in hindsight, there it is again. firing Childress the way they did was probably not smart, um, but I mean Zimmer's been a really good coach here, and I think he's a really good coach now because even a good coach can have a bad season. It has happened before. I mean, I just hate this crap about the second you have a bad season. If they haven't had a bad season under Zimmer, worst one was 7-9 his first year, and under the circumstances that was not bad. That was, that team was definitely trending up at the end of that season. He hasn't had a bad season. Worst one other than that was probably 2016 with all the injuries and everything, and it sucked the way that season kind of fell apart. But even then, it was like it wasn't a bad season. Like his bad seasons are basically 500. And I know nobody wants to be 500 because, God, here we go again with the tanking thing. That's back, it's never left. But like, if we're 500, we're going to get a bad draft pick and we can't get a quarterback. Like, if you want to get a quarterback, you can get a quarterback. Shut the fuck up. Just stop. I mean, you never were getting Trevor Lawrence. You're not going to be worse. Look at those two teams in New York. They're fucking horrible. The Vikings are not horrible. Jets and Giants are horrible. The fucking Jaguars are horrible. The Falcons are horrible. Like there's like at least a half dozen teams demonstrably worse than the Vikings. You're not getting those draft picks. But I mean, has there ever been a good coach, a winning coach who never had a bad season? I mean, Chuck Noll had bad seasons. Bill Walsh was bad. Bill Belichick was, 5-11 the year before Brady started. I mean, Andy Reid had bad years, kind of at the end in Philly. Like, just, you can have a bad season as a coach. You can have a 6-10 season. Doesn't mean you have to fire everybody all the time. I don't understand the mentality that says the second a team trends down at all, and that's certainly the Vikings are trending down this year from where they've been. You got to fire the guy and blow everything. Why? I know they're 4-1 right now, but do you want to be the Cleveland Browns as a franchise? Like the Browns this is what the Browns have been for 20 years. They've just fire coach after fire coach after fire coach, draft, build, put all your stock in a first-round quarterback, and he flops, and then you're firing and then you're getting rid of the quarterback, you're getting rid of the coach, you're getting rid of the general manager. I don't get why people want that to be the Vikings. Like, and look, maybe the Browns are going to win the Super Bowl this year. I don't know. I don't think so. But like, even if this is finally the end for the Browns as a doormat franchise, and maybe it is. It took 20 years. Do you want to spend 20 years just being awful every year? And just firing coaches every couple years? Like, okay, Zimmer's been here for 6 years. They haven't won a Super Bowl yet. They've been in the playoffs a few times. Like, he doesn't have the what's the word, the body of work that says this guy should be fired. He just doesn't. I mean, we've had 2 coaches fired this year. Quinn was fired, and he led a team to a Super Bowl. Zimmer hasn't done that. But the Falcons have also been like a non-playoff team now for a couple years. Like, if Zimmer missed the playoffs for a few years in a row, okay, then that's maybe one thing. But, and Bill O'Brien, they've always been kind of a playoff team because of their division. And he's won a couple playoff games here and there, but I think he got fired as much for his GM craziness as much as anything. But it's like, we haven't had that with Zimmer yet. If they miss the playoffs this year and then miss the playoffs next year, and things aren't looking up at all, and looks like you're kind of just, you're not going to turn this thing around again. Like maybe it won't turn out that he can't build up the defense to be kind of the second version of what he had before. Maybe that'll be the case. I don't know, but and if it isn't the case, and if he can't do it, well, okay, then there's more of a case for him to be fired. But there's not a case right now. I'm sorry. They're off to a really frustrating start. The team has improved. The record hasn't shown it. I mean, they haven't had a fucking bit of luck. The only thing of luck that they've had this entire season is the fucking guy from Houston slightly bobbling the ball at the end of the game last week. That's the only thing that's gone lucky for them this whole year, going back to the off season. It's just the way it is. I mean, it's not because Zimmer is a failure. It's not because Zimmer is a bad coach, or they've quit on him. Like, you don't have, you people who say this shit don't have a case. You don't. Like, you just want Mike Zimmer to be fired because you just want someone fired. You think firing a coach solves all your problems, just like you think drafting a quarterback in the first round solves all your problems. It's just not the way it is. Like, it's not. Like, you could improve over Zimmer. I mean, there could be a coach out there who's better than Zimmer. There probably is. Maybe even a coach who's better than Zimmer. But are you going to just assume that you're going to find that guy? Because we got a lot of examples in the history of Minnesota sports of good coaches being fired kind of just for the sake of firing them. Glenn Mason, Dwayne Casey. Remember when they fired him, and then the Timberwolves didn't even sniff five? They fired him at 20-20. They were 500, and they didn't even sniff 500 for like a decade after that. Glenn Mason was good, and you hired Tim Brewster. You fire Childress, and you promote Leslie Frazier, and he ain't good. It's like grass ain't always greener. We have a good coach now who's doing a good job under the circumstances. He ain't being rewarded with wins right now. Maybe he will be as the season goes on. I don't know, but just fucking call off the fucking dogs. I'm so sick of seeing this fire Zimmer shit all the time. You people don't get it. You people don't understand anything about football. You don't get to be good by just firing coaches on a whim. There's got to really be a reason to do it. And there's not a reason to do it right now with Zimmer. End of the year, if they go 3-13 and things go kind of back in the tank and they're getting run over like they were like in week 1, I mean, there could be an argument, but there ain't an argument right now. Like, any one of the 3 4th down plays go your way, you win last night and have one of the biggest surprise wins you've had in ages. So, and you would have won that game because of Zimmer. Didn't work out. Hopefully, the next time they're in a position to win a game like this, it will work out. But like, just fucking shut up. Mike Zimmer is not getting fired anytime soon. He's not getting fired in season either. I mean, they would not do that to this guy. They wouldn't fire him mid-season even if the thing did go off the rails. It's like, it sucks to be 1-4, but they're not going to get wherever they want to be this season or beyond by just having a knee-jerk firing of Mike Zimmer. Be better than that.